welcome back to Football Daily, where today we've got 10 of Man United's biggest transfer nightmares. Let's go. 10. Wilfried Zaha. Sir Alex Ferguson's final signing for Manchester United, Wilfried Zaha made the switch from Crystal Palace to Old Trafford for £15 million. But just 18 months later, the then England international had already rejoined the Selhurst Park playing staff after a very underwhelming stint in the Northwest. Joining as a 21-year-old, Zaha made just 4 appearances for the club and was eventually shipped out on loan to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Cardiff, where he failed to score in 12 games. Never in favour under David Moyes and equally maligned by his successor Louis van Gaal, his move back to South London lost the Red Devils 2/3 of their initial investment on Zaha. Since returning to Palace, the forward has become a club icon, with his pace and dribbling ability proving key assets for a counter-attacking Hodgson side. Now a regular for the Ivory Coast, his 3.4 dribbles a game and an eye for goals, scoring 26 over the last 3 years, means he's back onto United's transfer shortlist. If they want him, they'd have to pay at least 4 times what they did in January 2013. 9. Mark Bosnich and Massimo Taibi. One of the most sure positions throughout Premier League history for Manchester United has been goalkeeper, with 24 of 27 seasons seeing either Peter Schmeichel, Fabian Barthez, Edwin van der Sar or David De Gea donning the number 1 jersey. The 3 remaining seasons have been less secure, not least the 1999-2000 campaign, to the point where 2 players deserve a mention on this list. First up, it's Mark Bosnich. United came sniffing for the Australian as Schmeichel's successor, becoming the only player Fergie signed for the club twice. An inconsistent season saw him replaced by a 36-year-old Raymond van der Gaal, but not before another infamous transfer between the sticks. The Red Devils forked out £4.5 million for Massimo Taibi, who had just come off the back of a stellar season in the nets for Serie A newcomers Venezia. But the Italian only featured 4 times, once conceding 5 in a defeat against Chelsea, but more notably letting a Matt Letizia shot between his legs against Southampton, a mistake his name has become remembered for. Somehow though, Manchester United still won the league by a then record 18 points. 8. Juan Sebastian Veron. Arriving from Lazio with the reputation of a complete midfielder, Juan Sebastian Veron had the world at his feet. Upon signing for Man United in 2001 for a British record £24.3 million in 2001, he stated that he had no fear of the Premiership. But the truth is, the Premiership really didn't have to fear Veron either. The Argentinian started in superb form, scoring 3 goals in his first 4 games, winning Player of the Month. But Veron, used to football in South America and Italy, couldn't adapt to the pace of the Premier League as his fitness began to suffer as the season progressed. He always had backing from his manager though, with Fergie stating Veron is a f***ing great player in a press conference tirade. Despite excelling in the slower tempo Champions League, Veron never quite settled in England, blaming the less intense summer training schedule for his fitness and injury woes. After 51 games at Old Trafford, his move to Chelsea made him the 3rd most expensive player in football history, costing a cumulative £77 million, and just 3 years after arriving in England, he was on a plane back to Italy. A very expensive flop indeed. 7. Memphis Depay. Following in the footsteps of the likes of George Best, David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo, Memphis Depay was handed the iconic number 7 shirt upon signing on the dotted line at Old Trafford. It cost Louis van Gaal £25 million to bring his compatriot to the Northwest in 2015, and to start with, he didn't disappoint. Depay's stints began with a brace in the Champions League qualifiers against Club Brugge, before scoring in a victory over Sunderland which saw Man United top the Premier League table for the first time in over 2 years. However, he soon slipped out of the team, with now coach Ryan Giggs claiming the Dutchman's flashy lifestyle was the main reason behind his poor form. Despite an outstanding Europa League performance against Midtjylland, in which Depay assisted 2 goals, won 2 penalties and netted 1 himself, he struggled for game time, and in 2016-17 made just 4 substitute appearances before leaving. Joining Lyon for £17 million in January 2017, Depay has scored 33 and assisted a further 30 in his 2 full seasons in France. If United had just stuck with Depay a little longer, maybe they'd have a world beater on their hands. 6. Radamel Falcao. When he put pen to paper on a loan deal back in 2014, Radamel Falcao said he wanted to become a legend at Manchester United. But instead, he became one of the more underwhelming strikers at Old Trafford in the Premier League era. He cost the club £6 million just for the one season, whilst earning a further £250,000 a week on wages. Falcao was coming off an ACL injury which had seen him miss the 2014 World Cup, but had returned to full fitness by the time he signed for Louis van Gaal. However, he scored just 4 goals in 29 appearances all season, costing United over £4 million per goal scored in his single season in the Northwest. The Colombian featured for the under-21 side against Spurs in March 2015, as United finally found form with Rooney as a lone striker, meaning there was no place for Falcao in the side. Unsurprisingly, Man United didn't exercise their option to buy for £43.5 million, and in fact, they had to offload Danny Welbeck in order to sign him. In hindsight, we wonder which one of the two they would have rather had on their books. 5. Anderson. It was a toss-up as to which Brazilian central midfielder would make this list, with Kleberson just missing out to Anderson. Why? Because Manchester United spent €30 million on the 19-year-old from Porto, just 6 months after the Portuguese club plucked him from Brazil for a quarter of that price. Claimed by the United scouts to be better than Rooney, Anderson didn't score a goal for the club in his first 77 appearances, finally finding the net in September 2009. But things weren't on the up for the Brazilian, who went home to South America without Sir Alex's permission, resulting in an £80,000 fine for the youngster. And then came the injuries, as he first ruptured his cruciate ligament before a string of further issues plagued him right up until 2013. A lover of junk food, Anderson appeared to pile on weight after every injury, making just 5 appearances in his final 2 seasons at Old Trafford. After 8 years and just 105 league games for Man United, a 27-year-old Anderson headed back to Brazil on a free transfer, and he's still out of his depth back home. 4. Ángel Di María. When United shelled out £59.7 million for Ángel Di María in summer 2014, they were signing a player who had just won the Champions League final Man of the Match award with Real Madrid and helped Argentina to the World Cup final where they lost out to Germany. There was absolutely no reason why the 26-year-old wouldn't excel in the Premier League. And he started explosively, scoring a free kick against QPR and finding the net with an exquisite chip versus Leicester City, winning the Player of the Month award for September. And by the end of October, Di María had 3 goals and 4 assists. But Van Gaal's football never suited the Argentinian, who preferred to play wide, with the Dutchman preferring the diamond. Accused of feigning injuries and avoiding any direct contact with his coach, he never truly settled in Manchester, and especially not following an attempted burglary on his home. A red card against Arsenal in the FA Cup signalled the beginning of the end of his time playing for United, and less than a year after joining the club, Di María moved on to PSG, where his fortunes have definitely changed. 3. Owen Hargreaves. Owen Hargreaves was a relative unknown to the English football community before making his international debut in 2001. Born in Canada and a Bayern Munich player from the age of 16, he was an integral part of the Bavarian side between 2001 and 2007, as well as being England's best player at the 2006 World Cup, before a £17 million move to Manchester United. Aged 26, Hargreaves was entering his peak, and his first season in England was definitely a success. He featured 34 times and played all 120 minutes before converting a penalty in United's 2008 Champions League final triumph. But in his next 3 seasons, he'd played just 5 more games for the club and 9 more in his entire career. Hargreaves suffered from tendinitis, which required surgery on both his knees during the 08-09 season, and missed 113 consecutive matches before his return as a 93rd minute sub in May 2010. Unsurprisingly, he was let go on a free in 2011 and played just 4 matches for crosstown rivals City before retiring in 2012. 2. Bebe. With a nickname that belies his 6'3" frame, Bebe has to go down as one of Sir Alex Ferguson's worst ever investments. Moving to Man United for €9 million in the summer of 2010, the then 20-year-old was being offered around for as little as $150,000 by first club Estrela da Amadora in his native Portugal. Top division team Vitória de Guimarães swooped for the youngster before his move to the Theatre of Dreams just 5 weeks later. 2.5 seasons of his 4-year spell in Manchester were actually spent on loan, and as a result, the striker turned winger only pulled on the famous United red shirt shirt 7 times, all of which were in his debut 2010-11 season. Bebe did find the net twice, but this was not enough to convince Fergie & co, as his loan move to Besiktas the next season featured a €2 million buyout clause. In 2014, Man United, now managed by Louis van Gaal, decided to cut their losses, selling him to Benfica for a third of what they signed him for. Some players flourish upon leaving the Red Devils. Bebe was not one of them. He's averaged 30 games a season since his departure 5 years ago, but scored just 12 goals. A far cry from the talent United thought they picked up. 1. Alexis Sanchez. Nobody sums up Man United's recent transfer dealings more than Alexis Sanchez. Signed in January 2018, the Old Trafford faithful thought they knew what they were getting. A tireless forward who, with 44 goal involvements in his last 18 months with Arsenal, could both create chances and find the back of the net. Add to that the fact they beat rivals Man City to his signature, and it was set up to be the perfect move for Jose Mourinho. But it was far from it. In a year and a half in the Northwest, the Chilean has only scored 3 goals and set up 3 more, an absolutely massive drop-off from his Emirates peak. Even manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer expressed his disappointment in the number 7's performances, saying he wasn't sure Sanchez would ever regain his form. Now obviously he's had his injury troubles, which is hardly surprising considering 2018 was the first time he got the summer off since 2013 due to his commitments with Chile. However, he failed to top 900 Premier League minutes in 2018-19, only playing a quarter of an hour more than Scott McTominay, but he has already been paid £25 million by the club. With such a poor return on their money, it's no wonder United want him out the door this summer.
That's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure you hit the like button down below and tell us what you thought in the comment section. And why not check out the video on screen? I'm sure you guys will love it. As always guys, subscribe to the channel and we'll see you later.